My name is Ray Collins. I'm 71 years old. I live in a small house outside Nashville, Tennessee. When people tell me I'm old, I think about Walter Greens. Walter was the oldest active truck driver I ever met on the road. He was 81 years old when we met. 81 years old, and he was still hauling freight, by himself, across the whole country. But that's not what made meeting him unforgettable. What was unforgettable was the moment he told me one thing, simple, short, that changed the way I look at the road and at my own life. 1986. I'm 31 years old. Still a fairly green driver. Second year on the road after I left the plant and finally did what I'd dreamed of since I was a kid. Back then, I still approached the work with a newcomer's enthusiasm. Every run, an adventure. Every gas station, a chance to meet someone interesting. Every mile, a feeling of freedom I'd never had at the plant. August. I was hauling freight from Nashville heading west, Tennessee, then Arkansas, then Oklahoma. A long run, several days on the road. On the second night, I stopped at a large truck stop in Arkansas, one of those that has everything: a diner, showers, a store, parking for 100 rigs. Late, around 10 in the evening, already well worn out and wanting nothing but to eat and go to sleep. I walked into the diner, picked up a tray, put a plate of food on it, looked around for an open seat. The diner was half empty, a few drivers in different corners, each on his own. I was already about to sit at an empty table when I noticed him. An old man was sitting alone at a large table in the corner. In front of him, a plate of food he hadn't even started and a glass of milk. He was just sitting there looking out the window at the parking lot where the rigs were. Old. I understood immediately that he was very old. A face like a wrinkled map, every line deep, every crease speaking of decades in the sun and wind. Completely gray hair, sparse but neatly combed. Hands on the table, large, knotted, with swollen veins. His clothes, ordinary trucker's clothes, flannel shirt, trousers, heavy boots, nothing special. But something about the way he sat, completely still, completely calm, caught my eye. I walked over. "Mind if I nodded at the empty seat across from him. He shifted his gaze from the window to me. Eyes, pale blue, a little faded with time, but absolutely clear and sharp. Not old man's eyes. The eyes of a person who still thinks clearly and quickly. "Sit down," he said. Voice low, slightly raspy, but without any old man's frailty. I sat, started eating. We were quiet for a bit. I didn't try to start a conversation. If a person wants to be silent, they're silent. But then he spoke himself. "First time I've seen you here." "I don't come this route often," I said. "How long have you been driving?" "Second year." He nodded. Not with judgment, just took in the information. "And you?" I asked. He was quiet for a moment, then answered, 56th year. I put down my fork. 56th? First time I got behind the wheel of a rig, I was 35. He smiled slightly, calmly, without showing off. I'm 81 now. 56 years behind the wheel of a truck. I tried to imagine it and couldn't. "And you're still driving?" I asked. I tried not to have it sound like doubt in his abilities, just pure amazement. "Came in from Colorado yesterday," he said simply. Tomorrow I'm hauling back to Texas." I looked at him and tried to understand how it was possible. 81 years old, and he'd just come in from Colorado. "Why?" I asked, then thought the question might sound rude. Excuse me, most people your age." "Most people my age sit at home and wait," he said. No offense taken, just a statement of fact. "I don't want to wait." "Wait for what?" He looked at me, then at the window, then back at me. "Death," he said simply. "There are two ways to live out your old age. The first, stop and wait for it to come. The second, keep driving and let it catch up to you." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded and kept eating. But he continued on his own. "My name is Walter Greens, from Amarillo, Texas. Ray Collins, from Nashville." "Nashville's a good city," said Walter. "I've hauled freight there maybe 100 times, probably." "In 56 years, probably more," I said. He laughed, quietly but genuinely. "Maybe so." He finally started eating, slowly, carefully, without the hurry I might have expected from someone who hadn't eaten in a while. Just unhurried and methodical. "How many miles in 56 years?" I asked. He looked up. "Didn't count. But once a journalist, a young guy, came to interview me about 15 years ago, counted for me. Said probably more than 6 million miles. 6 million miles. That's like going to the moon and back 12 times, I said. 13, he corrected me, and again that calm smile. We talked for maybe 2 hours. I forgot about being tired, forgot that I'd wanted to go to bed early. Walter told me about the road in the 30s, 40s, 50s, about times I could only read about what American roads looked like before the interstates, about how drivers back then navigated with nothing but maps and road signs, no electronics at all, about nights spent sleeping right in the cab because motels for truckers barely existed in certain states. It was a living piece of American history, sitting across from me, drinking milk. But the most important thing, he said, wasn't about the road, not about the cargo, not about records. The most important thing, he said, was when I asked, almost as a joke, "What's the secret? Why are you still behind the wheel at 81? Walter set his glass on the table, looked at me seriously, for the first time all evening, completely seriously. "There's no secret," he said. "There's only one rule I never broke." "What rule?" "Never get behind the wheel if you have nowhere to go." I didn't understand right away. "Meaning?" He leaned slightly forward. "Most people drive because they have to, because it's work, because it's money, because there's a deadline, because the client is waiting. That's normal. I drove for money all 56 years. I won't pretend otherwise. But always, I had something besides the money. A place I wanted to arrive, a person I wanted to see, a view I hadn't seen yet, an idea I wanted to think through alone with the road." He paused. "When you drive only because you have to, that's labor. When you drive because you want to, that's life. I never let the first completely replace the second." I sat and thought about that. "And now?" I asked. "Where are you going now?" "Texas," he said. "To my daughter. She lives in El Paso. I see her once a year. I always take a load, go in that direction, and stop in to see her." "And the cargo, does it go there too?" "The cargo goes to Alamogordo, but I always take runs that direction, so there's a reason." I smiled. "You don't need a reason to visit your daughter." He shook his head. "I do. Not because she's not happy to see me, she is. But if I just show up as a visit, like an old father who has nothing to do, that's one thing. But if I come in from a run, from the road, with news about what I've seen, that's something else. I want to be a person who has something to tell, not a person who just waits to be visited." We talked some more. Walter told me about his wife, Margaret, who had died 12 years earlier. About how she always worried when he was on the road, but never once asked him to stop. She understood, he said, that if I stopped, I'd become a different person. Not better and not worse, just different. And she loved the person who existed, not the person who would exist if I stopped. Was it hard to drive knowing she was home worrying? He thought about it. Hard. But there are things that are hard for you and at the same time necessary for you. This was one of those things. I tried to always call, always come back on time, always bring her something from the road. Not expensive things, just small things. A pebble from the bank of some river. A postcard from a town she'd never seen. Small pieces of evidence that I was thinking about her while I drove. He stopped, looked out the window. "She kept all those pebbles," he said quietly. "After she died, I found a box. There were probably 200 pebbles in it, from every state I'd been to, each one with a date and a location on a small piece of paper." I didn't know what to say. "She remembered every one?" I finally asked. "Every one," he said. "She could pick up any one of them and tell you where it was from and what year." We parted around midnight. Walter said he was up at 4 and needed to sleep. We shook hands, his grip still firm and confident, and went off in different directions across the parking lot. I went to bed, but couldn't fall asleep for a long time. I thought about Walter and Margaret, about 200 pebbles in a box, about a person who at 81 still takes runs so he has something to tell his daughter, and about what he'd said about the road. Never get behind the wheel if you have nowhere to go. In the morning, when I was coming out of the shower and walking to my rig, I saw Walter. He was standing by his truck, an old Kenworth, but well-kept, no rust, new tires. Standing there looking east where the light was just beginning to come up. I walked over. "Good morning." He turned around, smiled. "Good morning. Beautiful morning." We stood side by side for a minute, watching the sky gradually get lighter. "Walter," I said, "can I ask one more thing?" "Ask." "Aren't you scared? 81 years old, alone on the road." He was quiet for a moment. "I am," he said finally. "I'm a little scared every time. But you know what I figured out in 56 years? "What?"
Fear doesn't go away when you sit at home. It just becomes a different fear. The fear that time is passing and you're not doing anything. And that fear I'm far more afraid of. He got into the cab, started the engine. The old Kenworth came alive with a steady, reliable hum. Opened the window. "Ray, your first run for yourself. Not for the company, not for the money, just to see something new. Have you done that yet?" I thought about it. "No. So far, every run has been on order." He nodded. "Do it. Doesn't matter where. Just pick a place you want to see and find a run going that direction. The road looks different when you're driving towards something of your own." He closed the window and drove out. I stood there and watched until his truck disappeared around the bend. 2 months later, I took a run to New Orleans, not because it was urgently needed exactly there, but because I'd always wanted to see that city, and a run happened to come up going that direction. I don't know if that's what Walter had in mind, but driving to New Orleans, I thought about him and about what he'd said. The road really did look different. I never met Walter Greens again. I don't know how long he kept driving after that meeting. I don't know when he finally stopped, or whether he stopped at all. But I still think about him every time I get into a cab without any particular inspiration, when a run is just a run, when the road is just the road. That's when I remember the old man in the diner in Arkansas, his glass of milk, and 200 pebbles in his wife's box. And I try to find something, anything, worth driving toward, besides money and deadlines. Usually I find it. The road shows you all kinds of people, but the best lessons don't come from those who know more than you. They come from those who live the way they talk. Walter Greens lived exactly that way. Ray Collins, Nashville, Tennessee. See you next time.